Mom texted, "We're skipping your kid's birthday, things are tight." I said, "Then enjoy Aspen." The text that changed everything. Some texts don't hurt because of the words. They hurt because they reveal the truth you spent years refusing to see. My son had been counting down the days to his 7th birthday from the moment he turned 6. Not joking. Every morning for the last month, he'd ask, "Mommy, is it today? Is today my party?" And every morning I'd smile, squeeze his cheeks, and say, "Soon, baby. Very soon." We'd planned it together. The superhero theme. The Avengers cake. The balloons. The decorations. The small guest list. The games. Nothing extravagant. Nothing wild. Just a simple birthday party for a little boy who loved Spider-Man. And thought confetti was the greatest invention in the universe. The one thing he wanted most? "Grandma and Grandpa must come," he'd said proudly. "They always come." "Right, Mommy?" I hesitated every time he asked that. Because deep down, I knew the truth. But I didn't have the heart to say it. Instead, I'd ruffle his hair and say, "I hope so, sweetheart." And I did hope. I always hoped. Even after years of disappointment, subtle jabs, and emotional neglect. Some small part of me hoped my parents would show up. For him. Even if they'd never shown up for me. I was wrong. The text message. It was the morning before his birthday when my phone buzzed. I was in the kitchen packing party favor bags. Spider-Man stickers everywhere. Laughing to myself because the whole place looked like a superhero exploded. My phone lit up. "Mom. We're skipping your kid's birthday. Things are tight." No greeting. No apology. No explanation. No emotion. Nothing. Just a cold statement. My chest tightened. I read the message again. And again. And again. "Skipping your kid's birthday. Your kid. Not our grandson. Not little one. Not his name. Just. Your kid." Like he was a chore. A task. A burden. And then the second half. "Things are tight." I stared at those words so long they blurred. Tight. 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 As if they hadn't gone to Sonoma wine tasting last month. As if they hadn't remodeled their kitchen last year. As if they hadn't bragged about, spontaneously, booking a ski trip last Christmas. Tight. Right. My throat closed. My eyes burned. But I didn't cry. I'd cried too many times already. Instead, I sat down, slowly. And exhaled the breath I didn't realize I was holding. And for the first time in my adult life, my sadness didn't turn into self-blame. It turned into clarity. The flashbacks hit hard. My childhood was full of memories like this. Mom canceling plans because she wasn't feeling it today. Dad skipping my piano recital because a coworker needed him. Mom leaving my school awards ceremony early because your sister has dance practice. Dad forgetting my birthday entirely one year because he had a thing. And yet, they always showed up for my sister. Every dance recital. Every award. Every heartbreak. Every tantrum. Everything. I spent years telling myself. It's not favoritism. They're just busy. They try. They love us both. But the truth? They loved her more. Or maybe they loved her differently. More loudly. More obviously. More proudly. And they loved me, quietly. Invisibly. Conveniently. They remembered me when it was easy. Forgot me when it wasn't. And now they were doing it again. Not to me. But to my son. My innocent, excited, big-hearted baby boy. The one who had drawn a family picture with Grandma and Grandpa holding his hands. The one who'd practiced saying, "Thank you for coming," in the mirror. The one who'd told his friends proudly, "My grandparents never miss my birthday." He believed that. He believed in them. In their love. In their consistency. And now they were skipping him. Like he was an item on a grocery list. The group chat. My phone buzzed again. "Mom. Tell him we're sick or something." "Idk. Dad. Yeah, tell him we'll make it next year." Next year. Next year. The phrase curled through me like smoke. Next year. Like children don't grow in the meantime. Like birthday parties don't matter. Like my son doesn't deserve grandparents who actually want to be there. My jaw clenched. My fingers began to tremble, not from hurt, but from the slow, simmering heat of something I had swallowed for too long. Anger. I typed only one sentence. Only 5 words. Me. Then enjoy Aspen this week. I hit send. Watched the message deliver. Watched the read receipt pop up. And then? Silence. I could practically hear the oxygen leave their house from here. Because yes. I knew. I knew they weren't tight. I knew they had booked a trip to Aspen with their friends. I knew they were leaving tomorrow morning. I knew they didn't want to cancel their luxurious ski vacation to attend a small backyard superhero birthday party for a child they never made space for in their golden lives. And I knew they didn't think I knew. But I wasn't the quiet, accepting daughter anymore. Not today. Not ever again. Their reaction was immediate. My phone rang. Mom calling. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again. Dad calling. Declined. Then the texts started pouring in. Mom. Wait, how do you know about Aspen? Dad. We didn't want to make you feel bad. Mom. It's not what you think. Dad. We just needed time for ourselves. Mom. We'll bring him a souvenir. A souvenir. A souvenir for a missed birthday? They really believed they could throw money at guilt. And everything would magically disappear. I didn't reply. I wasn't done being angry. But more than that, I wasn't done protecting my son. Because if I didn't put up boundaries now, they'd treat him exactly like they treated me. Like a placeholder. Like a shadow. Like an inconvenience. No. Not my boy. I refused. The moment my son asked. At 6 p.m., while I was frosting cupcakes. My son ran into the kitchen with a superhero mask on his face. Mommy. Grandma's coming tomorrow, right? My heart cracked clean in half. Because he wasn't asking. He was confirming. Because in his head. Family shows up. Family loves. Family tries. Family goes to birthday parties. I knelt down and held his little hands. And for a second, I almost lied. I almost said, they're busy. Or, they'll try. Or, they might come later. But I remembered all the lies I told myself as a child. The lies that kept me hopeful and hurting. I wouldn't repeat that cycle. I swallowed hard. No, sweetheart, I said gently. They're not coming. He blinked. Oh, are they sick? I shook my head. No. They're going on a trip. His mouth formed a tiny O. His eyes fell. Not dramatic. Not loud. Just disappointed. And that was worse than any tantrum. Oh, he whispered. I still wish they came. I hugged him tightly. I know, baby. I do too. And right then, in that tiny, tender moment. Something inside me shifted permanently. This wasn't just about a birthday. This was about generations of emotional neglect. And I wasn't passing it down. Not to my child. Not to any child of mine. The beginning of my revenge. After I tucked him in, I sat down at the kitchen table, turned on the porch light, and opened my laptop. If my parents wanted a life of luxury, prestige, and curated appearances, fine. But they wouldn't get that. At the expense of reducing my son to an afterthought, I began writing an email. Not petty. Not emotional. Not explosive. Just honest. The kind of honesty they had never seen from me before. And when the email was done, I felt something in my chest loosen. Like I'd unclipped the weight I spent years carrying. Tomorrow, they'd get it. Tomorrow, it would be too late for them to fix anything. Because tomorrow was my son's birthday. And I was done allowing anyone to steal joy from his world. Not even Grandma and Grandpa. Especially not them. The email that hit harder than any shouting match. Some truths don't destroy people. They simply expose the cracks they've spent years covering with excuses. By the time sunrise crept through the curtains the next morning, my inbox had 3 missed calls, 4 voicemails, and 8 texts, all from my parents. But I didn't open a single one. Today wasn't about them. Today was about my son. I stood over the kitchen counter, icing the last batch of cupcakes while the superhero decorations fluttered around the house like a red-blue explosion of comic book joy. The door suddenly burst open. "Mommy. It's today." My son sprinted in wearing his Spider-Man costume. I smiled. "Yes, baby. Today is your big day." He twirled, cape flying behind him. "Grandma will come next time, right?" That sentence hit harder than any accusation, any insult, any forgotten recital from my past. Kids know how to break you without trying. I swallowed tightly. "We'll see, sweetheart." He nodded, satisfied with the answer, and ran back to the living room. And that's when I opened my laptop, took a deep breath, and sent the email I finished the night before. The email that changed everything. Subject, regarding boundaries. I wrote slowly, deliberately. The way you do when you are finally choosing yourself. My email. "Mom, Dad. I know you're leaving for Aspen today. And I know you lied about why you couldn't attend your grandson's birthday. You didn't skip due to finances. You skipped because you didn't feel like being inconvenienced. This isn't about one birthday. This is about years of being treated like the optional child. I'm done pretending it doesn't hurt. I'm done covering for you. I'm done explaining your absence to my son. I love you both, but I will no longer accept scraps of effort disguised as love. Going forward, here are my boundaries. If you cannot show up consistently, you will not have access to him. I will not lie to protect your image. I will no longer excuse you ignoring milestones because things are tight. And I will not let my son grow up wondering why he wasn't important enough. He deserves better than that. I deserved better than that. Enjoy Aspen. I truly hope you reflect during your trip. But understand that this time, there will be consequences. Your daughter." I clicked send. And then, I closed the laptop. Because today wasn't about the email. It was about celebrating the sweetest child on earth. The backlash begins. 2 minutes later. "Mom. What email is this?" "Dad. This is dramatic and uncalled for." "Mom. You have no right to talk to us like this." "Dad. We did nothing wrong." My eyebrow twitched. Nothing wrong. Right. Skipping a child's birthday wasn't wrong. Lying wasn't wrong. Never showing up unless it benefited them wasn't wrong. Sure. But then, My phone buzzed again, this time with something surprising. Dad. We turned around. Coming over. My stomach dropped. No. 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 Not today. Not when my son deserved pure joy. Not when their guilt-fueled panic would overshadow everything. I called immediately. Dad answered. The call, and my first act of power. His voice was clipped. Well? Can we come talk? No, I said flatly. There was silence on the other end. The stunned silence of a man who had never heard the word no from me in his life. Dad cleared his throat. That's ridiculous. That's a boundary, I said calmly. You're being immature. I breathed slowly. This was the moment I'd been preparing for. Dad, I said, steady and low. You skipped a 7-year-old's birthday to go skiing with your friends. That's not the point. That's exactly the point. He exhaled sharply. You're overreacting. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Okay, I said. Then enjoy Aspen. Dad sputtered. You're actually serious? Yes. Dad lowered his voice, attempting manipulation. You're taking our grandson away from us. No, I said. You walked away from him. And I hung up. My hands trembled. But not from fear. From release. From finally saying the words I needed to say. The party begins, and the guest who showed up. Around noon, the yard filled with kids in capes and masks, laughter echoing through the air. Silly string battles. Bubbles floating everywhere. The bounce house nearly tipping over every 2 minutes. My son's face glowed. Every smile from him healed something inside me I didn't even know was broken. But then, the gate creaked open. I turned. And nearly dropped the plate of cookies I was holding. Because standing there, awkwardly holding a gift bag, was my sister. The sister who moved 3 states away. The sister who rarely visited. The sister who always rolled her eyes at family drama. I blinked. Hi. She shrugged. Mom told me what happened. I tensed. Are you here to defend them? She shook her head. No. I'm here because they suck. My eyes widened. She walked in, dropping her bag onto the gift table. That kid deserves someone from this stupid family to show up for him, she said. So I'm here. I stared at her. You came voluntarily? She shrugged again. Don't make it weird. My son spotted her and shrieked with joy. Auntie. She hoisted him up easily. There's my hero. The other parents watched, smiling. I swallowed the lump in my throat. How long are you staying? I asked quietly. She smirked. Long enough. Then lowered her voice. And you did the right thing, by the way. She gestured around. This is family. Not them. I felt tears sting my eyes. Maybe I wasn't alone after all. The call that changed everything. Right as we lit the candles, my phone buzzed again. Mom. If we stop by for just a minute, can we give him his present? No, I replied. She typed. But we bought him something expensive. I typed. He doesn't need expensive. He needs consistent. She didn't answer. But 3 minutes later, Dad called. I declined. He called again. Declined. He called a 3rd time. I stepped away from the kids, answered, and said, What? His voice was shaky, exhausted. Your mother is crying. She cries every time she doesn't get her way. He paused. That's not fair. Neither is skipping a child's birthday. Dad inhaled sharply. We already canceled the trip. I stopped breathing. What? We told them we weren't going. And why? I asked. Because you feel guilty? Or because you want control? He hesitated. Too long. The answer was obvious. So I said. The party is already full of people who care. Don't show up now and pretend you do too. Dad's voice cracked. Elena, please. We can fix this. No, I said softly. You can't. But you can do better next time. Next time, he echoed hopefully. If you earn it, I said. And not by spending money. By showing up. He didn't speak. I ended the call. And walked back to the party. Where my son was laughing. With the people who were there for him. Not the people who had excuses. The moment that sealed everything. My son blew out his candles. Everyone cheered. And as I watched him laughing, cape flying behind him, cheeks flushed with joy, I realized. I didn't miss my parents. He didn't miss my parents. The only thing we missed was the version of them we kept hoping existed. But that version never did. And that realization? It didn't break me. It freed me. Aspen exposed, and the confession that changed everything. Some lies fall apart quietly. Others collapse under the weight of the life the liars try to protect. The party went on for hours. Kids screaming. Parents laughing. Music blasting. Cupcakes smeared across faces. It was chaos, beautiful, joyful chaos. And my son? He was having the best day of his life. Auntie! Come jump with me, my son yelled. My sister kicked off her shoes and sprinted into the bounce house like she was 7 again. I watched them, warmth blooming in my chest. But then, my phone buzzed with a notification. Group chat, family chat, urgent. Against my better judgment, I opened it. And I froze. Because at the top of the chat, sent by my cousin Jason, was a screenshot. A screenshot from Facebook. Of my parents. In Aspen. Smiling on a ski lift. Holding hot chocolate. Matching jackets. Caption. Pre-birthday trip. Blessed. Timestamp. 1 hour ago. My jaw clenched. 1 hour ago. Meaning. They lied. They guilt-tripped. They tried to manipulate. They tried to barge into the party. They said they canceled the trip. They were still on the trip. And they were dumb enough to let a friend tag them publicly. My sister bounced over, panting. Why do you look like you swallowed a lemon? I handed her the phone. Her face underwent the 4 stages of disbelief. Confusion. Recognition. Fury. A laugh so sharp it could cut glass. Oh my God, she wheezed. They're in Aspen? I nodded stiffly. Posting like it's nothing. My sister threw her head back and cackled. They are so bad at lying it's embarrassing. But suddenly she stopped laughing. Her expression shifted. Went still. Like something clicked in her mind. And she sat down. Hard. Okay, she said. I have to tell you something. The confession. My stomach tightened. What is it? She chewed her lip. You know how Mom said things are tight? Yeah? She sighed. They've been saying that for years, right? Right. But also, she continued. They take luxury vacations. Redo their kitchen. Upgrade their car every 2 years. Go to wine tastings. Spa retreats. You know, expensive stuff. I raised an eyebrow. Yeah, I'm aware. She hesitated. Well, I found out why. My heart dropped. What do you mean? She swallowed hard. They've been helping someone financially. I stared at her. She looked at me. Dead in the eyes. Me. My throat closed. Helping you, how much? She looked away. A lot. I blinked slowly. How much is a lot? She whispered. About $25,000 over the last 3 years. My vision blurred for a moment. 25,000? I repeated. She nodded, ashamed. I didn't ask for it every time, she said quickly. Sometimes they offered. Sometimes I was struggling. Sometimes they just helped. My chest tightened. And while doing that, I said quietly. They told me that money was tight. She nodded. They didn't want you to know. I exhaled shakily. Let me get this straight. They have money for you. For Aspen. For ski trips. For upgrades. But not for their grandson's birthday? She put her face in her hands. I know. I know how bad this looks. No, I said flatly. This isn't bad. This is betrayal. She didn't argue. She didn't defend them. Instead, she said, "Can I tell you the worst part?" My stomach dropped. Go on. She looked at me with shame-filled eyes. They only help me because they think you don't need them. I stared at her. Then I laughed. Not a funny laugh. A broken, hollow, exhausted laugh. Oh, I said bitterly. So that's the logic? She nodded weakly. They think you're independent. Stable. Strong. Capable. So they invest in the child they see as fragile. I scoffed. They don't invest in the fragile child. They invest in the favorite child. She didn't disagree. And then she whispered. I'm sorry. My throat tightened. Not out of anger. Out of pain. Out of years of pretending I didn't know this. Because deep down, I always felt it. I always sensed it. I just didn't want to believe it was intentional. I didn't want to believe my own parents could look at me and decide I needed less love than my sister. The ultimate lie. Right then, my phone buzzed again. Mom. We canceled Aspen. Dad. We're in the car. Mom. Please let us come. I took a deep breath. Typed one sentence. Me. We all saw your Aspen photos. The typing bubbles appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Then disappeared again. Finally. Mom. That was an old photo. My sister snorted so loudly a kid turned to look. Old? It was posted an hour ago. I cracked my knuckles slowly. Typed. Me. It was posted today. Tagged. Timestamped. Try again. No response. Then my sister leaned forward. You know what's crazy, she said. They didn't even think you'd see the photos. I nodded. Because to them, I said, I don't exist unless they want something. My sister touched my arm. Her voice soft. Not anymore. And something clicked in me. A switch. A quiet, dangerous one. I wasn't just hurt. I wasn't just angry. I was done. Done explaining. Done hoping. Done begging. Done shrinking. It was time to stand up. It was time to protect my son. It was time to make sure they understood the consequences of choosing lies over love. The first step toward revenge. The party ended around 5 p.m. Kids left with sticky faces and balloon swords. The yard was a mess of confetti and trampled cupcakes. My son fell asleep on the couch still wearing his Spider-Man mask. My sister helped clean up. Then she turned to me. "You know," she said. "You could just cut them off." I nodded. "I could. But will you?" she asked. I looked at my sleeping child. His tiny chest rising and falling. His fingers curled around a little superhero figurine. And I made a decision. Not for me. For him. "For now," I said. "I'm giving them exactly what they gave us." She raised an eyebrow. "And what's that?" I smiled coldly. "Distance." My sister nodded slowly. "But that's not revenge," she said. I shook my head. "No," I said. "But that's just the beginning." Because I already knew. The real revenge was coming. And it wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't petty. It was simple. Letting them live with the consequences. Of not valuing the family. That was right in front of them. Aspen blew up in their faces. Some people aren't sorry they hurt you. They're sorry you finally saw who they are. The morning after the birthday party, my phone buzzed non-stop. My parents didn't text first. My cousins did. My aunts. My uncles. Family members who never insert themselves suddenly had opinions. Because, as it turned out, my mom and dad's Aspen photos hadn't just leaked in the family group chat. They'd gone public. Wide public. Someone in their friend group shared the photos on their story, tagged them, and that got reshared by another family cousin. By noon, half the family tree knew the truth. My parents weren't too broke. They weren't sick. They weren't emotionally exhausted. They were skiing. Drinking wine on mountaintops. Taking selfies in matching gear. And skipping their grandson's birthday to do it. The family group chat erupts. I opened the group chat reluctantly. It was on fire. "Aunt May. I thought you said money was tight." "Uncle Rob. You skipped your grandson's birthday? For a vacation?" "Aunt Jamie. At least own your decisions." "Cousin Jenna. This is why I stopped inviting y'all to things." And then the worst one. "Cousin Tyler. Elena's kid is so sweet. This is sad." That one almost broke me. Because it was true. My son deserved better than parents who prioritized luxury trips over love. Mom finally responded in the chat. We had already booked the trip. We didn't want to disappoint people. Cousin Rob shot back instantly. "You disappointed the wrong people." Silence. Long silence. I didn't type anything. I didn't need to. The truth was speaking louder than I ever could. The phone call they feared. At 3 p.m., Mom finally called. This time. I answered. Because I wanted to hear what excuse they'd come up with next. Her voice cracked instantly. "Elena, everyone is attacking us." "Maybe," I said coldly. "Because you lied." "It wasn't lying," she insisted. "It was avoiding conflict." I almost laughed. "You avoided conflict by creating a bigger one." She sniffed. "I didn't think anyone would see those photos." That sentence alone told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't sorry. She was embarrassed. I spoke clearly. "You care more about looking like good grandparents than actually being good grandparents." She gasped like I stabbed her. "Elena. How dare you? How dare I?" I repeated. "How dare I tell the truth?" Her breathing grew ragged. "You don't understand what it's like." "Mom," I cut her off. "You skipped your grandson's birthday because Aspen was more fun." "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" Silence. Mom didn't have an answer. Of course she didn't. Because deep down, she knew. Enter, Dad's confession. Dad took the phone. His voice was low, exhausted, but not angry this time. Elena. Your mother is emotional right now. That seems to be her specialty. He sighed. Look, we should have been there. My eyebrows shot up. Did you actually just admit that? Yes, Dad said softly. We made a mistake. This was new. My father didn't do apologies. He did deflection. Excuses. Minimizing. But this? This was remorse. Before I could reply, he continued. And, the money thing? We shouldn't have said that. I held my breath. Why did you? He hesitated. Then he told the truth. A truth I wasn't ready for. We thought you wouldn't understand. Understand what? That sometimes, he said quietly. You're too independent. I frowned. Too independent? Yes. You never ask for help. You never seemed to need us. We didn't think you'd care if we came or not. My chest tightened. Dad. I stopped needing you because you stopped showing up. He inhaled sharply, like the truth punched him. That wasn't our intention. But it was the result. He didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. For the first time in years. He simply accepted the truth. Elena, he said quietly. We love him. We love you. We didn't know we were hurting you like this. And now that you know? I asked. What will you do differently? He paused. A lot, he whispered. But apologies are only words until actions follow. The line I drew. I'm not mad that you went to Aspen, I said. Silence. My mom gasped. But I am mad, I continued. That you lied. That you hid it. That you assumed your trip was more important than my son's joy. Elena. No, I interrupted. I need you both to hear this. I spoke slowly. Clearly. Unshakably. You lost the right to be part of yesterday. But you have not lost the chance to be part of the future. Mom sniffled. Does that mean we can come over? No. Her breath caught. Not yet, I said. There are conditions. Dad exhaled. What conditions? I looked at my son, curled up on the couch, smiling in his sleep. And I said the words that shifted everything. From now on, you will show up. When you say you will. You will be honest. Even when honesty makes you look bad. And if you ever choose luxury over love again, you will lose access to him. Mom gasped like she'd been slapped. Elena. That's extreme. No, I said calmly. That's parenting. Dad didn't argue. He just said quietly. Okay. Mom hesitated. Okay. Okay, she repeated weakly. We will, try. That wasn't enough. Try is what you say when you don't plan to change. I need commitment, I said. Not attempts. Dad responded first. You have it. Mom swallowed. Fine. You have mine too. An unexpected message from my sister. After I hung up. My sister texted. You handled that like a boss. I replied. Honestly. I feel drained. She wrote back. That's what it feels like when the scapegoat stops playing the role. I blinked. The scapegoat. Of course. My sister wasn't stupid. She knew the dynamic too. She sent another text. Mom and Dad don't hate you. They just take you for granted because you're strong. But strong people need love too. And before I could reply, she sent one more. And your son? He's going to grow up knowing you showed up. That's worth everything. My throat tightened. Her support mattered more than I expected. But the day wasn't done surprising me. Because at 8 p.m., long after the kids had gone home, long after the bounce house deflated, long after the sugar high faded, my phone buzzed again. Mom. She sent a photo. A picture of 2 untouched ski passes. Followed by, "We didn't go." Then another text. "I hope someday we earn our way back in." I set the phone down gently. Not satisfied. Not furious. Not vindictive. Just quiet. Because for the first time in my life, they finally understood the weight of their absence. And that was only the beginning of the consequences. When they finally came face to face with the truth. People don't change when you forgive them. They change when they finally fear losing you. My parents didn't show up the next day. They didn't call, didn't text, didn't send a picture from Aspen. They went completely silent. At first, I thought they were sulking, punishing me with the cold shoulder. Their favorite manipulation tactic. But by day 3, I realized something else. They were embarrassed. Not hurt. Not reflective. Embarrassed. Because for the first time ever, they weren't the victims. Their own choices made them the villains. And that reality hit them harder than any lecture I could have given. The message I didn't expect. On day 4, my sister came over again. No announcement. She just walked into my kitchen like she owned the place. "Are we baking or what?" she said. I blinked. "What?" She held up a bag of flour and frosting. "I saw you had leftover cupcake supplies. Thought we'd make a girls' night of it." I stared at her. "You don't bake." She shrugged. "I don't do a lot of things. But I'm trying." My chest warmed a little. She meant it. We baked in silence at first. Clumsy frosting, spilled sprinkles. Her laughing because her cupcakes looked like crime scenes. Then she asked suddenly, "Did Mom call you today?" "No." "Dad?" "Nope." She nodded slowly. "Good." I frowned. "Good." She put down the frosting bag. "Elena, they're scared." I swallowed. "Good," I whispered back. She smirked. "That's the correct answer." We laughed lightly, but then her expression softened. "You know they're actually talking about going to therapy, right?" I froze. "Therapy? Them?" "Yeah," she nodded. "They're worse than I am, and I go twice a week." I blinked, surprised. "You're in therapy?" She nodded. "Been going for a year." "Mom and Dad don't know." "Why didn't you tell them?" "Because they'd make it about them." I felt that one hit deep. Deep enough to sit with. She sighed. "Look. I'm not here to defend them. They messed up. Bad. Like, should be written in a psychology textbook, bad. But, they know it." I looked away. "I don't care if they know it today. I care if they change tomorrow." She nodded. "That's fair." The doorbell. 2 cupcakes later. The doorbell rang. My stomach dropped. She raised an eyebrow. "You expecting anyone?" "No." She peeked through the window. "Oh boy." My heart sank. "What?" She turned to me slowly. "Mom and Dad." I froze. The air froze. My pulse froze. She whispered, "You want me to stay?" I inhaled shakily. "Yes." She nodded and stood beside me like a soldier. I opened the door. The visit. Mom looked terrible. Red eyes. Messy hair. Wrinkled clothes. Dad looked almost smaller. Like guilt had shaved inches off him. "Hi, sweetheart," Mom whispered. I didn't speak. Dad offered a stiff nod. "We'd like to talk." I crossed my arms. "Then talk." They stepped inside like they were entering a courtroom. Mom glanced at my sister. "Oh, you're here." "Yes," she said dryly. "To make sure you don't emotionally traumatize her again." Mom's mouth dropped open. "Don't start," my sister warned. I gestured to the couch. "If you have something to say, say it." Mom sat. Dad sat. My sister and I remained standing. I needed the height. The power. Mom took a deep breath. "We're sorry." I stared. She had said those words before. But this time, she didn't sugarcoat them. "We were wrong," Dad added. "We should have been there." Mom nodded, tears forming. "And we shouldn't have lied." Dad swallowed. "And we shouldn't have made excuses." Mom winced. "And we shouldn't have assumed you'd understand." I crossed my arms tighter. "You're not apologizing because you're sorry," I said. "You're apologizing because you got caught." Mom flinched. "That's not." "Yes," my sister cut in sharply. "It is." Dad closed his eyes. "We are ashamed." Mom wiped her face. "We didn't realize how often we put things before you." "No," my sister said. "You put things before her." "Never me. Only her." Mom's breath caught. Dad exhaled heavily. And that was when my sister dropped the bomb. "She knows about the money." Mom froze. Dead still. Dad's face went gray. I tilted my head. "So you had money for her. But not for my son." Mom covered her face. "Elena, sweetheart, it's not like that." "Then what is it like?" I demanded. Silence. Mom lowered her hands slowly. "We didn't think you needed us," she whispered. There it was again. The justification they clung to like a safety blanket. "You looked strong," Dad added. "You are strong," Mom insisted. My throat tightened. I clenched my fists. "So because I'm strong," I said quietly, "I don't deserve the same love? The same effort? The same presence?" Mom tried to touch my arm. I stepped back. "No. Not anymore." The shift in power. Dad's voice cracked. "Elena, what can we do?" It was the first time in my life he had asked me that question. Not told me. Not instructed me. Not assumed. Asked. And I felt the power shift. From them. To me. "If you want a relationship," I said slowly, "you will rebuild one." Mom leaned forward desperately. "We will. We'll try." "No," I cut her off. "Trying isn't enough. You either commit, or you step aside." Dad nodded instantly. Mom hesitated. The hesitation of someone who loved control. More than connection. But she finally whispered. "We commit." It didn't heal me. But it was a beginning. A very small beginning. A core truth they never understood. I sat down across from them. And I told them a truth that wasn't angry. Wasn't dramatic. Just real. "I am not trying to punish you," I said quietly. "I'm protecting my son from the childhood I had." Mom sobbed. Dad covered his eyes. My sister whispered. "Good." Mom reached out shakily. "Can we see him?" she asked. I shook my head. "Not yet." Her face crumpled. Dad whispered. "We understand." And the fact that they didn't argue was shocking. Progress. Painful, unfamiliar progress. But still progress. Then they stood to leave. Mom hugged herself. Dad nodded at me with respect I'd never seen in his eyes. My sister walked them out. I stayed in the kitchen. Hands trembling. My sister returned. You okay? I nodded weakly. Yes. But then I whispered. That wasn't revenge. She smirked. No. That was accountability. Then she leaned in. But revenge is coming. Real revenge. Soft revenge. The kind that doesn't blow up. The kind that lasts. And I knew she was right. Because the final part of this story wasn't going to be about anger. It was going to be about liberation. About changing the script. About finally, truly choosing myself. And my son. Every single time. And letting the people who didn't show up live with what they lost. The peace they never expected me to choose. Revenge doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the silence that destroys them. A week after the confrontation, the house felt different. Not louder. Not emptier. Just peaceful. Like all the emotional noise I grew up with had finally stopped echoing in my brain. For the first time in a long time, I felt light. My son felt it too. He was happier. More confident. More talkative. More present. Children know when the emotional atmosphere changes. Even if they don't have the words to explain why. One night, he curled up beside me during bedtime and said, "Mommy? I like it when people who love me come here." I felt tears prick my eyes. Me too, sweetheart. Grandma and Grandpa will love me someday. I exhaled, brushed his hair, and answered gently. They love you now. They're just learning how to show it. And that was the truth. Not the sugar-coated version. Not the hopeless version. Just the gentle, honest truth. The check-in call. 10 days after the confrontation, I received a call from Dad. I hesitated. Then answered. He sounded different. Calmer. More grounded. "Elena," he said softly. "I just wanted to see how you and the little one are doing." I blinked. A check-in call. That had never happened. "We're good," I said cautiously. "Thank you for asking." Silence. Then he said something I didn't expect. "I'm going to therapy this week." I froze. "You are?" "Yes. Your sister recommended someone. I want to understand why I missed so much. Why I thought being busy or tired was an excuse." My throat tightened. "And your mother is going with me." I didn't speak for several seconds. This wasn't manipulation. Not guilt. Not image management. This was accountability. Slow. Uneasy. But real. "We'll keep going," Dad added quietly. "As long as it takes." "Okay," I whispered. "Thank you," he said. "For telling us the truth. Even when it hurt." And then he said something I never expected to hear. "I'm proud of you." I swallowed hard. Those words were something I'd chased for 30 years. Today, they didn't land like a prize. They landed like closure. I no longer needed their pride. But I accepted it. The first visit back. 3 weeks after the birthday party incident. Dad texted. We'd like to drop off a little something for him. No expectations. I stared at the message. Old me would have said yes instantly. New me paused. Then I replied. Okay. 15 minutes only. No guilt. No excuses. Dad. Understood. They arrived with a small gift. Not expensive. Not flashy. Not performative. A book. A simple children's book about superheroes and kindness. My son opened the door. Grandma. Grandpa. Mom's face crumbled. She knelt down and hugged him gently. Not too tight. Not overly dramatic. Just present. Dad ruffled his hair. Happy birthday, buddy. My son beamed. It's not my birthday anymore. Dad chuckled. It's close enough. They stayed for exactly 15 minutes. No emotional speeches. No guilt trips. No attempts to force intimacy. Just quiet, simple presence. And when they left, my son whispered. That felt nice. And I realized something. This wasn't forgiveness. And it wasn't revenge. It was transition. A slow shift from a broken pattern to something that could become healthier. If they kept trying. The superpower of peace. Over the next few weeks, something unexpected happened. My anxiety faded. My resentment loosened. My sleep improved. My boundaries stayed firm. Peace wasn't loud. It didn't roar. It didn't celebrate. It didn't parade around. It simply lived in my house quietly. And for the first time ever, I wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. Because I controlled the doorway now. Who entered? Who stayed? Who left? And who never got a key again? The family reaction. Of course, every story needs comic relief. And in my family, that's Aunt May. She called me one afternoon screaming. Well done, Elena. You shook the tree and the rotten apples finally fell out. I blinked. Thank you. She continued dramatically. They needed this. Your mother has spent years pretending everything is perfect. Now she has to do the actual work. I rubbed my temples. Aunt May. No. Don't downplay it. You broke the generational curse. My therapist will be thrilled. I hung up mid-rant because I was laughing too hard. But the truth was, she wasn't wrong. My final act of revenge, the quiet kind. Revenge doesn't always look like yelling, blocking, or cutting people out. Sometimes, revenge looks like becoming the version of yourself they tried to prevent. Revenge is healing. Revenge is protecting your child from repeating the same wounds. Revenge is refusing to shrink to make others comfortable. Revenge is watching them realize that the version of you they mistreated is gone forever. My revenge was not punishing them, screaming, cutting them off for life, posting drama online, making them beg. My revenge was rewriting how they had to treat me, refusing their manipulation, setting unbreakable boundaries, making them confront themselves, letting them feel the sting of exclusion, keeping the power in my hands. And most importantly, creating a world where MY's son wouldn't inherit my pain. That is revenge that lasts. That is revenge that transforms. Because when someone finally sees the emptiness created by their absence, they learn the hard way. They were never irreplaceable. But you were. The ending, quiet, strong, free. One evening, weeks later, I stood in my backyard watching my son run around in his superhero cape. The late sunlight wrapped around him, warm and golden. My sister was sitting on the porch, sipping lemonade, shouting cheering instructions like a football coach. My parents weren't there. But for once, their absence wasn't painful. It was intentional. Chosen. And in that moment, I realized I was exactly where I needed to be. With the family who showed up. With the love that stayed. With the peace I fought for. No chaos. No guilt. No lies. No begging. Just freedom. And that was the revenge. Not anger. Not punishment. Not spite. Freedom. Peace. A future not built on pain. The life I built. Not the one I was born into. My son ran up to me, panting. "Mommy. I'm super fast." I laughed, kneeling down. "Yes you are, baby." And as he hugged me, I whispered the truth that healed generations. You will never have to earn love. You will always deserve it. And that was the ending. Not dramatic. Not violent. But powerful. The kind of ending that becomes a beginning. The beginning of a new family cycle. A healthy one. A loving one. A chosen one. Where my son will always know he is the priority. And I finally know I am too.